could add to that today because you did such a wonderful job. I would like to share with you about my experience with Solomon. Solomon preached, is that on? Let me see. Solomon preached at Highland Baptist Church when I heard him the very first time. There it is. And when I heard him the very first time, it just took my breath away. I probably understood half of what he said, but half of what he said was far more important than most churches ever give you. Amen. And I was sitting on the edge of my seat that day as I was listening to him. Solomon began to preach. He told us about India. He told us about India having a need for a Savior. In the nation of India, there's 1,650 dialects, languages just in that country. 1.3 billion people. It had 29 states. It had 7 million villages. It has 40,000 people dying every day in India. And half of its population is under the age of 20. They're looking for help. They're in poverty. They're illiterate. They are dealing with child labor. They're dealing with an oppressive caste system. I didn't know it, but there is a caste system in India. It's a giant pyramid. And at the top of the caste system is the priests, the academia people. And then underneath that is the warriors and the kings. Then underneath that is the merchants and the shop owners and the landowners. But then at the very bottom of the caste system is what you call the commoners, the servants, the peasants. You call them the untouchables. You call them the street sweepers, the outcast, the sewer cleaners. And you call them the Christians at the very lowest of the caste system. As I heard about this story of India as he was preaching it, tears would well up in my eyes. And I looked at my wife, Linda, and I said, I would like to be the one that won India to the Lord. Man, I didn't know what I even began to say when I uttered those words to her. Went to lunch that day, and all of a sudden you could smell the aroma of India up my nostrils. Amen. If you know anything about India, they love curry. How many of you have ever tasted curry? Raise your hand. Curry is a spice. It just blow your mind. It'll just blow your nostrils while you're there too. And I had this aroma of curry coming up my nose and in my face. Never before have I felt such a call to such a place as I did that day. Within 2 weeks, from that sermon, Solomon was knocking on my door, asking me to come in. And I thought, what in the world did this little Indian want? He said, I need you to come to India with me. I have a lot of responsibilities. I have a lot of jobs. I've got a lot of things to accomplish, a lot of things to do. But I really had a call to go. And so next thing you know, I'm off and running towards India. For 3 months, I'm there getting ready. I'm gearing up. It's like going to a football game and getting your pads on, your helmet on. You're getting ready for the game of your life. It was like going to college and you were cramming and you were studying and you were working at getting everything kind of knowledge that you could get about India. Working on my sermons and working for pastors. I was doing a pastor's meeting there in India as well. And I was talking to them about the favor of the gods, so I was getting all my information ready. I studied their culture. I studied their people. I studied their food, most of all, because I'm a meat and potato man. You know what I mean? I like my fried chicken. And I was trying to get a grip on what I was about to experience, because I was going to go to a land that I'd never been. I was going to meet a people I'd never knew, and I was going to taste a food I'd never had before. And I went to India and I saw a land that was rich. They had rice, they had wheat, they grew it. They did all the spices you could possibly imagine. Okra, potatoes, bananas, fresh fruit, eucalyptus trees, amazing crops. You name it, they grew it. You see, they get an abundance of rain there. But not only do they have abundance of rain, they have the monsoon seasons, and they blow in. And I'm telling you what, the rain is just incredible. When I went to India, I met people that were very kind. They were very friendly. They were very hospitable. They were very helpful. They were just the nicest people. If you get to know my friends here today, you will find that they are some of the nicest people you can be around. I thank God for what they're doing in Clovis, New Mexico, because they're making a difference in the lives of our young people. I saw things I never dreamed I'd see. I saw people selling chickens out of wire mesh, one on top of another, on top of another, on top of another. They would pull up. They said, I want a chicken. So they'd give them a chicken, kill it, butcher it, and hand it to them. You talk about fresh. But if you wanted fresh fish, you had to get by the side of the road as you're driving down the road. And they've got fish out on this side of the road. But you better get it before 10 because it gets awful hot and they get kind of stinky after 10. I saw some things in India I never dreamed I would see. I saw people that I wanted to make a difference in. You know, I've been praying for God to make a difference in America and to bring revival to America. And I wanted America to have such a hunger for God. I wanted the churches to abandon themselves. I wanted to see them win the lost at all costs to Christ. Little did I know that I would find it halfway around the world. It was incredible. These people were religious. These people had idols. And I'm not talking one or two. India is known to have over 330 million idols in the country. Can you imagine? Everything you see is just practically an idol to them folks. And they are religious, but they're not saved. They are religious, but they're not born again. But they were so devoted to their idol. They were so dedicated to their idol. They were so committed to their idol. They were so passionate to their idol. They were so enthusiastic about their idol. And I say, God, please let them have a passion for you far greater than the idol that they're carrying in their pocket. It's one thing to be devoted and dedicated and committed to an idol, but it's quite a different thing to be devoted and committed to God. Amen. Worthless idols, they have them by the millions. Worthless idols. But sometimes I think about in America. Sometimes I think we have a lot of idols in America. In India, they have monkeys, they have cows, they have trees, they have fire. And that's their gods. And there's one man that had set up a new temple, and it was to the God of Trump. And he had a picture of Donald Trump. And that was his idol. Yes. Everything is a God to them. If anybody needed to know about God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, it's the people of India. Went over and we preached every evening in a crusade. Every evening we would go to different places and people would sit on the ground. They didn't have nice chairs. They didn't have great lighting. They didn't have heating and air. But we would go and we'd have to drive up to the street. And I said, where's the church at? Where's the church at? Because we're in the middle of slums. We're getting close. This doesn't look like a church around here. We're in the middle of slums. Where are we at? Well, we're getting close. Just hang on. And all of a sudden we bolt in like the Secret Service of President Trump. And we pull open the doors and we pile out. And there's people that are in wheelchairs. There are people there with leprosy. There are people there crowding outside of the building, walking through like on pins and needles down the aisles because people were everywhere. And they came to the church so they could hear about how great God is. Amen. Somebody in America cared for them. Somebody in America cared for them, and they sent their offerings, and they sent their love gifts, and they sent their donations to send missionaries all the way over 18 hours away by plane. halfway around the world. And they wanted to hear about Jesus and what Americans thought about Jesus. One of the greatest experiences I ever had was to spend time 2 weeks in India telling people about Jesus. India is hungry for God. India is crying out, give us God. Give us God. Won't you tell us about Him? And God is making a difference in India. Would you pray about making a difference in India? What can you do? Do you know your American dollar goes very, very far in India? Solomon had a church built in his hometown where his mother and brother is. And this church is about from here to the wall, and it's about from here back. And he built a church, concrete, paint, roof, everything you can imagine to make it built. He did it for $6,500. That's not a lot in America for a church. He's wanting to build 5 a year. Wouldn't you like to have opportunity in sharing in his ministry? You know, you never know when people come to your church and they are missionaries what really goes on. But I want to tell you something about my friend Solomon. My friend Solomon, he's a little short in stature, but he's a mile deep and he's 10 miles wide. He's a man of vision. He's a man of dreams. He's a man of expectancy. He's a man that wants to see God move. When you support his ministry, M.U.M ministry, you are pouring in to a good seed. You are watering a good seed. You're nurturing a good seed. And he's going to touch the thousands and millions in India. You have a wonderful gentleman sitting here wanting to take the gospel. You bless him if you would. God bless you. Pastor Tom.